Welke tijd ook goed is.
Ja, prima.
Okay. All right. I guess we'll switch to English then.
Yeah.
And
Perfect.
hopefully, yeah, I'm pretty sure the recording should work.
I think so, yes.
Okay.
It says that it's working, so.
Yeah. All right, cool. Well, welcome to the second episode then, I guess, of the userexperience.org podcast. With me today, we have Martijn Schouten. I connected with him through, we're both in a group chat, I think, for the next web conference, which is a tech conference taking place in Amsterdam in June, this year. And then I think he sent a message, and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. And now we're here.
Here we are.
Do you mind giving a little bit of a brief introduction as to who you are and
sure.
how you got here?
Yeah, sure. So my name is Martijn. I work for Lively, which is an agency in Amsterdam, and I lead the AI department there. And next to that, I also partly run WhiskyWhy, which is a platform for whiskey enthusiasts, where you can fill in a taste quiz, and we recommend you whiskeys based on your answers.
Okay, cool. I'd love to dive in more about WhiskyWhy, but before we do that, I see you have quite a varied background, including at the UvA studying artificial intelligence, among other things. Was your life story kind of like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or was it a little bit more like a maze where at each point you had to kind of figure out?
It was definitely not as straightforward. I actually studied information science at the University of Amsterdam, which, if anyone knows that, a degree is very broad. So you don't really learn a lot of very applicable skills, unfortunately. But that also made me realize pretty early on that if I wanted to learn any practical skills or anything about the real world, because it's kind of what you're lacking in a university degree, of course, you've got to get to work. So I definitely did not have a straightforward path. I was interested in web very early on. Like already in high school, I was reading the W3 schools web pages about JavaScript and HTML. And then back then I was like, exactly. Back then I was like, oh, I would love to learn all those languages that they have listed. Of course, that is also not the real world. But I got more involved in front-end web development. From there on, I worked for an agency for I think about a year or something doing that. But it was not that exciting for me on the long run. I liked it a lot as like a hobby. So I became a business analyst actually for like a European car dealership company. It's called Auto One. It's from the annoying "we buy your car" ads. Long story short, was also very fun. But then only I really started to dive into AI. And that brought me where I am today. Did a master's degree in Leiden University, which also picked up some of those aspects. But for most of my skills, it was self-taught, which is a good start, I guess.
And in terms of like teaching yourself, what tips would you have for people that are maybe thinking about teaching themselves but not sure where to start?
I'm a bit of a in my opinion, an annoying learner because I only learn things when I really need to use them. So I work really well on like project basis, basically. So if I am going to dive into a project, I need stuff for that. I'm very good at learning the stuff that I need. But then there's this whole world out there of things that I don't know. So when it's hard to say what I would give as a tip because I'm such an like an impromptu learner basically. But my tip would be to just pick a project, get started on it, and find out what you need to know and learn that.
Yeah, Yeah, that's definitely something I can recommend as well. I noticed that when I was like working on my websites and stuff, that's when I actually really was forced to, well, not only forced to, but I actually had the intrinsic motivation because you've got some skin in the game. Um,
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
if it's just a teacher telling you, hey, you should learn this or read this book, I'm like, yeah,
Why bother,
no,
right? Yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
that was also a big part of my studies. It was just a lot of things that I probably will never need anymore. But in the end, you pull through because it's kind of interesting, you know?
yeah. I mean, it's definitely still nice to get that diploma, I guess.
Definitely. I always go for the paper. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, then bringing it back to 2020. Yeah, you started WhiskyWhy. Could you tell me more about that, and maybe also from the first moment, like how'd you come up with the idea and stuff like that?
Yeah. So I worked together with my co founder, Tino Sveers. He, I kind of remember still that he was in a bar with someone, and then they were talking about the issue that if you don't know don't know anything about the whiskey world, basically, um, there's no one that could advise you well. Now, if you go
Yeah,
to a liquor store and you have some 18-year-old that is filling in next to studying or something, and you ask, "Hey, what whiskey would you recommend?" He would just look at whatever is either the most expensive or discounted. It's like, oh, there's a discount on this one. How about you try that? Even though there's, of course, a lot of public data available on what kinds of tastes are in those bottles. So he called me up at like late in the evening. He was like, hey, um, do you think we can like do this in a smarter way? And that is actually how it started. And we built the platform basically from scratch, um, which was still pre-Chat GPT times. So it was a lot of manual labor. But again, I learned a lot about I learned a lot from it.
yeah, that's nice. And then from, you can always have a really great idea and then spend months building it, and then find out maybe at some point that no one actually wants it. How did you make sure not to run into that issue?
This is one of those learnings, right? Like find customers first, and then start building. Because
Yeah,
we of course over engineered the whole thing, and then found out that some features we really didn't need. Um, like we had tasting clubs and stuff like that already built into the system, and you could make lists with bottles for sharing and stuff like that. And in the end, the main driver was still sort of that BuzzFeedy um, principle of having a quiz and seeing an outcome, and then people left the website and never came back. That is kind of
yeah,
what happened.
okay,
Um, so I wish I would have said I would have I wish I would have guarded myself from pouring in that development time. But in the end, yeah, it was still, it's like retention wise, it's not really a great product.
okay. And then in terms of, I guess, the value proposition, so you're saying that most users, what they find valuable is just I guess, the quick feedback to see
Exactly.
what whiskey
Yeah.
you like. Um,
Yeah.
and how did you, other than just checking, the drop off rates and hey, that's my girlfriend. Hey, Yulin.
Hi.
He's, hello.
Nice
Um,
nostrils.
thank you. um, yeah, like how did you actually do that user testing and user feedback? Is it just you look at the website and see the traffic peaks for 10 seconds and then drops, or do you actually engage with people one on one in real life?
Oh, it was most of it was data collection. Like we had some behavioral data tracking and metrics and stuff like that set up early on in the process. Like if you go to whiskywhy.com right now, every button that you click is tracked. So every site that you like, every page that you visit, every button you click, everything is tracked.
Yeah.
Um, Meaning that you can clearly in the data see how where people go and where they drop off. And it was just very simple. We have a homepage. People click on the quiz. They do the quiz. They see the results, and that's where the journey ends.
Yeah.
They also see in the sessions and stuff like that. So we very early on took a data-driven approach, which is the nice part, because if I hadn't done that, then we also wouldn't have figured out that the whole platform around it was not adding a ton of additional value for our customers.
Yeah.
But I would always recommend to start collecting data early on those kinds of interactions.
Yeah. And do you then use that data to do like A/B testing and stuff like that?
We did in the beginning. We had some campaigns running, and the campaign pages were like these splash landing pages, basically. Those we A/B tested with, what was it called, Google Optimize or something. I think they stopped the product. So if you want to do our experiments again, you can't, because the Google product is not working anymore. But yeah, we did that early on, but we have not done that much, to be quite honest. Like we have about 3,000 to 4,000 users, maybe a little bit more since I last checked it. And those are registered users, and we get like, I don't know. I'm not sure of the numbers, but we get around 10, 15K website visitors every month. So it's also not, it's a nice amount of traffic, but not like a staggering amount where A/B testing gives some very clear answers. So we invested more time into streamlining the quiz and stuff like that.
Yeah. Okay. And focusing now on the quiz aspect, you mentioned that you built it using, or at least it's powered by machine learning and AI. How would you say that that affects how people interact with it and how they perceive it? Because you could also just say, it's a computer program or whatever. Do you think that it has AI in it as a buzzword? How does that influence the psychology behind it?
Yeah. So 2.5 years ago, the AI part was the really cool thing, but nowadays everything is powered by AI. So it's like it lost its juiciness, I guess, a little bit, because in the end, as you can see with all of these AI products, nowadays at least, it doesn't really matter if you put the AI label on it or the machine learning label. It's more about the value that you provide to the user. And in the end, there's not a lot of new and fun and exciting things for whiskey drinkers to get to know new whiskeys and explore their taste, basically. So for us, that was the main selling point. I'm not sure if we have listed on the website that it's powered by AI anymore. If that is the case, then we should probably take it down, because I don't think that should be the main seller at this moment.
Yeah. Well, I checked, and the tagline still has AI in it.
I just opened the website. I was like, fuck.
But yeah. And then I'm checking out the website right now as we speak, and I see that there's also a dashboard. Could you tell me a little bit more about that?
Sure. Yeah, so what we saw from our competitors, I guess, is that there's a lot of these whiskey systems. Like we, for the data collection, because we're working with AI systems, of course, we have some data collection going on. Early on, we really targeted the whiskey experts, basically, because they could give us the data that we can then use to advise beginning whiskey drinkers. Now, most whiskey experts or people that drink whiskey more often, they either use an Excel sheet to track their like the whiskeys that they like or preferred or reviewed, or they use something called WhiskyBase, which is interface-wise, it looks like an Excel sheet with like a light blue coating over it. So we approached it in the beginning more from an interface point of view. We were like, if we can offer a similar product that looks better, we might be able to convert those experienced whiskey drinkers to use our platform instead. So there is a whole administrative platform attached to WhiskyWhy where you can make wish lists and like fill out your collection, leave tasting notes and stuff like that. But for our beginning whiskey drinkers, the whiskey quiz is really the main entrance point and the thing that is used the most.
Yeah. Okay. And then I'm interested from a user experience perspective. How did you end up deciding what to put on that dashboard and what not to put on?
Yeah, I mean, it's not really a user experience perspective. It's more a competitive analysis sort of way. Like we just looked at what the common denominator was with the rivaling whiskey platforms, basically, to be able to offer a minimum like the minimum requirements for a whiskey drinker to use our platform. Which was, like I said, a wish list and a collection, basically, and some way to leave notes and reviews. So we approach it more from that than from a user experience point of view.
Yeah. Okay. Is there anything else you'd like to show or discuss? We're running short on time a little bit, but maybe a couple more things you'd like to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's now a lot easier to build products like WhiskyWhy, of course, with the whole ChatGPT stuff. It's just easier to build out products like the one that WhiskyWhy is. That being said, though, I guess we learned today that you shouldn't label everything with AI, which we do, which is maybe not the best idea nowadays in this market. But yeah, that is basically a review 3 or 4, almost 4 years into WhiskyWhy that I would have approached differently now.
So could you elaborate on how you would have approached it differently now?
I think if I would start building WhiskyWhy now again, all of WhiskyWhy's like components are all built from the ground up. Like I built everything from scratch. I would definitely scrap all of that. I would just take some kind of either like a web flow or something like that, or a standard template and work from that. The AI component is, of course, still a very delicate part of the ecosystem here, and it's not something you can easily build up. So that I would do completely custom. But all the bells and whistles, I think I've invested too much time in making from scratch. And if there's anyone out there that wants to build a similar like sort of business built on some kind of AI feature, but a whole platform around it, definitely not recommend building it from zero.
Yeah. Okay. And do you think you have maybe time to show us the platform itself, or give a little bit of a sneak peek into it?
Ooh,
I hope that Google records that as well, but I'm pretty sure it does.
I think it does. Wait, hold on. It's sort of battle testing here. Give me a second. I have not done this quiz in a very long time, so just bear that in mind. So this is our homepage. You can take the test, and then this is our recommendation system.
Okay.
These are 30 questions. Just bear that in mind. So I'm just gonna probably go through it very quickly. But we've designed these questions with the idea that you should be able to get a good overview of the taste areas that a person would like. So let's say we are Dutch. Here's the infamous coffee question, of course. I don't drink coffee. Don't really love beer, so I'm also saying no to that. I'm just going to click through a couple of these.
Yeah.
because otherwise we're here until the end of time. And there's skill questions about seafood, the smell of gasoline, lavender, Christmas trees, of course. These are all questions that a beginning whiskey drinker would be able to answer, because we
Yeah.
noticed that a lot of these whiskey related things were all really focused on how smoky would you like your whiskey to be and stuff like that. And if you're walking into a liquor store as a beginning whiskey drinker, at least, I don't fucking know. So I just
Yeah.
want to be able to relate it to something that I do know.
I think it's
So yeah,
super interesting and funny to see that one of the questions is the famous pineapple pizza question.
exactly. Yeah. The pineapple pizza, definitely. Yeah, because there's a lot of these tones of fruit and stuff like that in there. So yeah, this is the results page. Mind you, this is a different page for Dutch customers than it is for people outside of the Netherlands. Because within the Netherlands, we offer a service which is like a customized sample kit, um, which we cannot deliver outside of the Netherlands because of alcohol laws.
Yeah.
But yeah, you get your recommendations here. There's your full set of 12 recommendations, and you can order them immediately, basically.
Wow.
Um, so you can get a kit for 4 tubes, 6 tubes, or 12 tubes. And then well, not we, because I'm not packing these, but our partner assembles them customized for you, because these are all, of course, personalized recommendations. And you get them shipped to your home or wherever you want to ship them. Company,
Yeah.
I don't care.
Nice. That
Yeah.
seems like a good way to make money if it works. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. We actually only launched this like 2 months ago, I think at the end of November, because for the past 3 years we just gave you links to the nearest liquor store where you can buy it, so that you can order it there yourself. We thought now like a whiskey bottle goes for about 60 to 80 euros, a good one at least, not like a Jack Daniels or whatever. Um, Unlikely that we would recommend it to you, because let's be honest here, it's not really a good brand. Um, but for the same price, you can now get more than one whiskey flavor delivered in a box to you, which is more bang for your buck, if you ask me, especially when you're in the beginning stages of your whiskey drinking experience, where you just want to explore the tastes that are out there. So that's a bit of the idea.
Yeah. Cool. Then I guess I'll share with my friends and try it out as well.
Yeah,
So
perfect. Let's get the orders flowing, right?
yeah, exactly. Well, thanks for taking the time to show off your product and also talk about tips you have and your experience. And I'll see you at the next web conference.
Yeah, sounds perfect. See you then.
See you, man. All right.